we got plenty of time to go over everything that happened Thursday night and everything that is to come on the 6th Sunday of the 2019 NFL regular season. And, you're going to hear this pretty much every week. I can't believe it's X week of the season. I can't believe it's that week. I can't believe it's week 6. I really can't. It's flying by as it always does, Big Cat.
Stop, Mike. I hate when people do that, even though I did that on my own show today, because the college season, I know you don't watch college football, but the college season is already half over, or this week is week 7. It goes 14 weeks. So I agree. I would like to pause time. There's nothing better than the month of October for sports. It is the best month. It's beautiful out. It's great to have football. You have ruined football, and we will never recover as a country.
You've got to stop this. I mean, it was funny like the first 2 or 3 times, but you're referring. Don't filibuster, Senator. Let me make my point. You are blaming me for replay review of pass interference as if replay review of pass interference is actually doing a damn thing to the game. We are at the point where the coaches need to realize you're wasting your time. We saw it again last night from Pat Shurmur. When the game was out of hand, it was 35-14. Golden Tate was clearly interfered with. The officials clearly missed it in real time, but there's Pat Shurmur throwing the red flag and slowing the game down because he wants to challenge something that is not going to be overturned. They have essentially, I believe, Big Cat, watched this show. They watched you a few weeks ago talking about the big red button, and they are going to use this device as the big red button in the event that there's another Rams-Saints debacle in the playoffs. Until then, it ain't getting touched. It's not getting used. And these coaches are continuously wasting timeouts and wasting challenges and wasting our time. And you know what? Did you notice how quickly they overturned it last night? It's like they didn't even look at it. It's like, what's he doing? He's challenging pass interference. Don't they know we're not going to overturn it? Upheld. Go. And so don't blame this on me. They ignore it now. It's only there in the event that there's a true emergency, which is what you wanted, not me.
Okay, listen, I will agree with you that at this point, if you are a coach burning a timeout on a pass interference call, that's the only person you can blame is yourself. I will also say that the NFL is genius. They've done it yet again. I've stumbled upon this thought during the week since we last saw each other on Friday. The NFL put this rule in place so that it could fail so miserably that they can then take it away in the offseason and say, see, we listen to our fans. We always take criticism. So I'm going to give the NFL credit for this. We'll shift off this for a second, the pass interference. Let's talk about Pat Shurmur real quick. Pat Shurmur last night, punting the ball on 4th and 2, throwing deep on 3rd and 2, punting on 4th and 2, when you're down 14 points, told me everything I need to know about the rest of the Giants season and about the rest of the Pat Shurmur era. I'm being serious, Mike. That was a coaching decision that told me that Pat Shurmur is more concerned about the perception of the final score and his job than he is about winning football games.
I agree with you completely, and I said that last hour, not in those words, but the idea was I don't want it to be 35-14. That's I'll take a 14-point loss and go home. I concede. Can we just end the game here? That's what that was. That wasn't, I'm still alive. I'm playing the percentages. I'm going to keep the ball, or at least try to. And, didn't we all know that no matter what happened on that drive by the Giants, the Patriots were still going to cover? I mean, we knew once it went 28-14, it's like, here it comes. Here it comes. It looked like they had no chance to cover, and they're going to cover. Whether it's a punt, whether it's going for it on 4th and 2 and not making it, whether it's another fumble, another interception, whatever. But you're right. If you want to try to win that game, you have no choice but to go for it there.
You have no choice to go for it there. And I will listen. The cover was in doubt because I had the Patriots minus 17, and I was nervous at the end. But Pat Shurmur, and I know the Giants aren't good, and I know they're not going to the playoffs, but you're 2-4. You have a young quarterback that you're trying to have reinvigorate the team, the locker room, have guys feel like they're buying back in, and you do something like this, it just feels like the wrong message you send to your team, your fans, everything. And Pat Shurmur, in a weird way, has had this nice coat of armor with Eli Manning the last couple of years where he can basically say, it's not me, it's an order from up high, I need to put Eli out there. Eli's not able to win us games, but I'm trying my best to respect his legacy and all the mumbo jumbo. Now, Pat Shurmur, this is a situation where you got to win games and you got to be aggressive and you have to have your rookie quarterback continue to buy into what you're doing. So I was disappointed in that play call, and I was disappointed in the message it sends. And I think other than that, the Giants showed a lot more fight than a lot of people expected. Their defense, which is 31st in the NFL, was active and turned the ball over twice on Tom Brady, including a strip sack for a score. So I thought there were some positives you could take away from that game if you're the New York Giants, if you're a Giants fan. But then you have Pat Shurmur do that in the fourth quarter, and you say, what was the point of all of this?
Yeah, and he was asked after the game by reporters why he punted in that situation. His answer was, I felt like it was the right thing to do.
No,
yeah.
You felt like you wanted to make sure that you lost by 14, and everyone walked away saying, man, the Giants really gave the Patriots all they could handle, and they got something. Well, guess what? The Patriots then went down and scored, and your 4th and 2 call looks even dumber.
And think about the benefit to a young quarterback like Daniel Jones. If you go for it on 4th and 2 and you convert it, that's just a little boost, a little bump, a little something he has when you go for it on 4th and 2 in a game where you have a better chance of winning, right? You're building the confidence of this young quarterback who has looked good so far. And you're showing in that moment you have no confidence in him, or at least not enough to risk a headline that is Pats trounce Giants 35-14, because and this isn't even the people walking away from the game last night, because the people who watched the game understood what happened and that it was a closer game than 35-14. This is for the benefit of all the people flipping through the newspaper today. And they say, he wanted them to see 28-14 instead of 35-14 or 38-14 or whatever it would have become. And he deserves more criticism for that than anything else we could criticize him for, because that is a shallow and superficial approach to his job. And I agree with you completely. All he cared about in that moment is getting out of there with a score that would look respectable when people who paid no attention to the game became aware of it.
Right, and who cares about those people? Because anyone who watched the game, I already had thought the Giants put a respectable performance out there because they hung a lot tougher than people were giving them credit for. I mean, the first half, it's 14-14 going almost into half. The Patriots scored before half, but that game felt like the Giants had something going where they were going to hang around. It was a 7-point game going into the fourth quarter. So the Giants did the respectable thing. And who cares about whatever people flipped their, the newspaper and didn't watch the game? So to make that decision for those people, like you said, very shallow, I just hate it. I hate the message it sends. Can we talk also, Mike, the fact that Daniel Jones, who I think has shown that he can play at this level and the excitement around him is real, but the same thing that happened at Duke is now showing up here in the NFL, and that's turnovers. He's had 9 turnovers in his appearances. He's had 8 in his 4 starts. He's had 6 interceptions. You can't win. Well, actually, I should say you can win with turnovers because the Giants did it with Eli for many years. But turning the ball over at the rate he is right now is not a great omen for what's going forward, because this was something that plagued him all along, and it seems like it hasn't been fixed.
And that's the reality. When you go from the college level to the NFL level, the windows get tighter. If you have turnover issues, especially interceptions at the college level, you're most likely going to have more at the pro level. One guy that's flipped that around has been Deshaun Watson, because as the windows get tighter, he's gotten more accurate in the NFL. But most guys, if you've got issues turning the ball over at North Carolina, you're going to have a hell of a lot more problem when you're the quarterback of the New York Giants. So I agree with you there. Even though he has passed the eyeball test, you can't give short fields, you can't give pick sixes, or whatever may contribute to the other team getting the ball and turning it into points. And that's helped the Patriots. They've been so opportunistic all year. That 35-14 looks like their offense is fine, and their offense is anything but fine. They had to go with one personnel grouping for a lot of the second half because of injuries. They don't have Rob Gronkowski. They don't have Antonio Brown. They don't have Ben Watson. And you can tell that Tom Brady's getting a little frustrated with all of this, Big Cat.
Yeah, he's getting frustrated, and rightfully so, because add on all of what you just said in terms of the lack of weapons, and their offensive line has not looked, very good. I know they've had some injuries, but even running the ball, which the Patriots have kind of morphed into this team the last couple of years, and of course, Bill Belichick, at any point, he can morph into a different team. That's the genius of Bill Belichick, that one week he can pass all over you and shred you with the passing game. The next week he can play bully ball. But I think as Tom Brady gets older and maybe the dynamic kind of shifts here, where the defense has been very, very good and the offense needs to play a little more of a ball control game, they weren't even able to run the ball probably the way that Bill Belichick wanted to. It was still effective. It was right around 4 yards a carry for Sony Michel, but still, the Patriots offense, it doesn't have that rhythm that we can just go out there, roll it out there, and cut you up left and right, 10, 11, 12 play drives. And they were playing a very bad and undermanned Giants defense last night. I know the conditions were bad, but the Patriots have played a lot of really bad teams. What's going to happen when they start playing some of the good teams on their schedule? And are those games going to be closer because the offense has not found a way to bring it all together? I also want to say right here, Mike, thank you to Tom Brady, because it looks like the Patriots are going to obviously be in the playoffs, obviously have a fantastic record. But Tom Brady's playing right on that level where he gives idiots like us enough to talk about the next morning and say, is Tom Brady getting too old? Is this the end for Tom Brady? He's giving the sports media world enough to doubt him, which you should never do. But thank you to him. He's being a gentleman and a scholar in that.
Yeah, and look, I understand the sarcasm there, but I don't think he is giving us ammunition to doubt him. We can doubt the pieces around him, but I don't think we can doubt him. But he has his doubts. You mentioned the schedule is going to get tougher inevitably. They play the Jets next week, but then they've got Cleveland, they've got Baltimore, they have the bye week after that. It's the Eagles, it's the Cowboys, it's the Texans, it's the Chiefs. They are going to have to score more points. Let's watch and listen to Tom Brady's reaction last night when he was asked after the game about the performance of the offense.
What's your assessment of where you guys are as an offense right now? Do you think it's been good enough?
We'll see. We're 6-0, so try to get to 7-0. So thank you guys. Appreciate it.
I love that move by Brady. Choosing his words very carefully, running them all through the filter with the double shrug, the pause, and ultimately the smile. We'll see. I'm sure he wanted to say a lot more than that. And he has recently bristled a little bit about the offense, Big Cat.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.